I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I know I am. And if you can hear all those gunshots, I don't know if you can hear them, but just ignore them. It's just the Georgia militia preparing for the Civil War. No big deal. All right, y'all. So I moved, but I don't think it's going to help. I can still hear the gunfire, but that is okay. So today I wanted to discuss the different phases that a thru hiker will go through during a thru hike. The one thing, a big thing that got my interest after my thru hike was the psychology of the thru hike, and the mental phases that we go through during a thru hike. You've heard people say that a thru hike is 100% mental, and it is true. The reason people say that is because the physical part, even though thru hiking is very, very physical, that physical part takes a lot of mental fortitude to achieve. So today we're going to talk about all the different phases that a thru hiker typically goes through. Mostly this is what I went through, but I've talked to lots and lots of thru hikers, and most of them, if not all of them, had very similar situations, very similar phases that they went through during a thru hike. So today we are going to discuss those phases and what they entail, and what may go through someone's mind during that time. All right, so let's get into this. Okay, so the first phase that we're going to talk about is the honeymoon phase. And I actually got that term from Zach Davis. He wrote Appalachian Trials, and he describes the beginning phase of the thru hike as the honeymoon phase, and I think it is the perfect word to describe it. It's weird in a lot of ways. A thru hike is like a marriage, but the first phase, the honeymoon phase. So it usually starts right when you're about to leave your house for the trail. And then once you get on the trail, everything's new, fresh, exciting. You just feel so alive. You're like, man, I don't have to go to work. I don't have to worry about nothing. All I have to do is get up and hike this beautiful trail all day long. What a wonderful life. And it is, man. And it's amazing. And I still chase that feeling. I still try to chase that dragon to this day, that honeymoon phase. Everyone you meet, you're just smiling. You're like, hey, how's it going? And you're just so happy to be out there. And man, it's just amazing. And that's just the best way to describe it. Most people will feel this way for 500 to 700 miles. That's about how the honeymoon phases lasts, about 500 to 700 miles. For me, it lasted about 800, and then I started feeling it. The next phase we'll talk about, but it lasted for a long time. Now, like that couple I was talking about in my last video, that honeymoon phase only lasted maybe a day or two, and then they came to the second phase that we'll talk to. But the honeymoon phase is the best, and hold on to that as long as you can. Some people have that honeymoon phase all the way through the hike, but it's not near as intense as it was in the beginning, but they still hold on to it. But yes, the first phase, the honeymoon phase, the best phase. And man, like I said, I still chase that dragon to this day. right, y'all. So now we're going to talk about the second phase. The second phase I call the realization phase. One day, usually just does happen overnight. You wake up and you realize, you know what? I get up every day. I hike. I work for water. I have to work for my food. I have to work to stay warm or stay cool. And you realize, you know what? This is very much like a job, but I don't get paid because it's the routine. You've been doing the routine for so long that now it's starting to not be as exciting, not be as fresh. The newness is wearing off. A lot of times people realize, wow, I've only gotten this far. And like I was saying, now this usually will happen after 500, 700,000 miles for people. And they realize, wow, I've gotten this far and I put this much effort into it and I've only gotten this far. And it dawns on them just what a huge monumental task is still ahead of them. Because now they have a little bit of taste of what it was like. And now they're looking at a map, which I suggest do never look at the map. Just don't worry about. Just worry about where you are. A lot of people realize, hey, I've gotten this far and I've spent this much money, and this means I still have this much to go and I still have to spend that much more money. And the thing is, the farther north you get, the more expensive it gets. A lot of people, I heard this a lot. I've gotten everything I've wanted to get out of this and it's time to go home. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm one of those true believers. I believe after 500, 700 miles, a trail you start to get burned out on the trail. It's just something that happens to most of us. Now, not all of us. There's those, and they are a rare breed, those few that just are just completely excited and just all out the whole way. Okay, so you've heard people talk about the Virginia blues. And it's not because Virginia is depressing. It's because the honeymoon phase has dwindled. It's gone. And this, like I said, usually happens for people around the 500 mile mark to the 1,000 mile mark, except for a few. A few, like I said, just are happy all the way along and just excited. But for the most part, all of us feel a fade of the excitement, the newness. And we enter the realization phase. And that's where people get the Virginia blues. And it has nothing to do with Virginia at all. It's just the phase, the new phase they're entering. Now they realize it's not new. It's getting old. It's getting actually becoming quite formulaic, routine. And they realize that how much effort it's going to take to keep going to do this, and how much money and everything it's going to take to keep on going. So that's where that term Virginia blues comes from. It has nothing to do with Virginia being depressing at all. Matter of fact, Virginia is absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorite states, my third favorite state, to be honest. But yes, and like I said, a lot of people start missing family. I'm one of those people. And, you know, you just start coming up with all kinds of excuses why it's okay to leave the trail and go back home. And there is nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, it's the norm. It really is. So the realization phase means, you know what? I'm going to have to suck it up. And this is going to be a lot of hard work, but I'm going for it. Hey y'all, Man, there are a lot of gunshots today. I usually hear some around here, but I don't know, man. It is going off. And it's been like this the last few days here. Just gunshots constantly. So, sign of the times? Who knows? So, we talked about the realization phase. Now, we're going to talk about the determination phase. The realization phase and the determination phase go back to back. Once you've realized and accepted that this trail is what it is, then you are ready to cross into the determination phase. By this time, you know how much energy, how much time, how much money it's going to take to finish this hike, because you've already invested so much into it and gotten this far. So you have an understanding of how much more it's going to take to finish this. By this time, also, you are a fine-tuned hiking machine. You can hike miles and miles and miles. It's almost like your legs are on autopilot. And also, by this time, you either know you have what it takes or you know you don't. So once you've hit the realization phase and you've got that acceptance and that understanding, you enter the determination phase. And from this phase on, you just have a determination. You have a grit. You're going to do this. You're going to finish this no matter what. Okay, y'all, so the next phase, I call it the I got this phase, or the there is no stopping me now phase. So this phase usually happens to people when they get into New England. Most people I talk to, and I was one of these people, it happens when you get to Vermont. When you get to the Long Trail in Vermont, I got this thing came over me where I was like, you know what? Nothing can stop me now. I knew I had gone so far, and I couldn't believe, honestly, I could not believe that I was in Vermont. And this huge, massive boost of confidence came over me. And a lot of people I talk to, this happens to them. Some people say Connecticut, some people say Massachusetts. I even heard people say right after Harper's Ferry. But for me, it was when I got to the Long Trail in Vermont. Something came over me, and I just knew I was going to make it no matter what, unless there was some serious accident. You get there's this gravitational pull towards Katahdin. You feel, I don't know, you almost feel like you got this in the bag. All I can explain is there's this huge confidence that comes over you, and you just have this feeling like, I got this, or nothing's going to stop me now. And man, I'll tell you what, that is an awesome feeling. But the funny thing is, when I got to Vermont, I was just getting to the very, very hard stuff, man. And man, let me tell you, from Vermont to Katahdin, man, your pace slows down just because, first of all, you've been hiking in the mid-Atlantic states, so you haven't been doing a lot of climbs. And then you hit Connecticut and Mass, and you start getting some climbs, but then in Vermont, boom. I mean, that's when you start getting the big, big climbs. And that's when you start feeling those big climbs again once you get to Vermont. But yeah, the I got this phase usually happens in New England, and the way I can describe it the best is a huge boost of confidence and this gravitational pull north towards Katahdin. During this phase, most people, what they have on their mind is the whites. They're thinking about getting through the whites. They're thinking about getting to New Hampshire, getting through the whites, prepping for the whites, maybe getting some cold weather gear. You'll need it for Vermont too. So you really should be getting cold weather gear once you get to Massachusetts, in my opinion. But definitely in Vermont. Yeah, so the I got this phase, or nothing can stop me now phase, great phase. Hey y'all, so man, I just met a thru-hiker from 2017, class of 2017. I think he said his name was Sloppy Mac. He was mountain biking out here. But that's pretty interesting. I think he's the first thru-hiker I've met out here in Dawson Forest. Well, anyways, so we're going to get into the next phase. The next phase, I call it the focus phase or the wrap it up phase. So this phase usually happens to people after they finish the White Mountains or when they get into Maine or sometime in Maine. For me, it happened as soon as I got to the Maine, New Hampshire sign. Once I got to Maine, I just had this intense focus on wrapping this thru-hike up, and all I could think about was Katahdin. And now that's the thing about this phase. Most people, they will just be concentrated, almost have tunnel vision on Katahdin. Katahdin will be on their minds. They know they've made it this far, and they know nothing's going to stop them now, and they just are focused on that finish line. You'll hear a lot of people during this time talking about their plans after the thru-hike, or you'll hear them talking about their plans for when they summit Katahdin. Most people, like I said, that's what's on their mind, summiting Katahdin. A lot of people will be making plans with friends and family who are supposed to pick them up at Katahdin or are going to meet them at Katahdin. A lot of people are talking about maybe new adventures after the thru-hike, maybe doing the PCT or the CDT. Some people are not talking about it all because they don't want it to end. Now, you'll find two groups of people. You'll either find the people who are ready to finish it and they'll be in a rush and they just want to wrap it up. And then you'll find the others who know it's almost over and they purposely will slow down and suck it all up before it's over. So you have a difference, a lot of difference, but I would say the majority of the people were excited about finishing and excited about, stuff that's going to happen after Katahdin, whatever it was in their lives. So yes, this is the focus phase, the wrap it up phase. You're at the very end, and you're just focused, tunnel vision on Katahdin. You're thinking about making plans about finishing, meeting people when you finish, what you're going to do afterwards, all that kind of stuff. And some people, it's kind of I would say a roller coaster. You're excited, but also, kind of melancholy because it's over. So for me, it was a roller coaster. I'd be excited some days, and then I'd be kind of sad because I knew it was going to be over. So yeah, it's different for everyone, of course. But yes, the wrap it up or the focus phase. That's the last. Well, there's one more phase after that, and I will talk about that when I get back with y'all. All right. All right, y'all. So we are at the very last phase of a through hike, and that is, of course, the finish. When you get to Katahdin, when you get to that sign and you touch it, and I can only speak for myself. I've talked to lots of people, and honestly, most people have a hard time putting it in words. So I can only really speak for myself. When I got to this, let me go back. So when we first decided to summit Katahdin, we got up at like 2 in the morning. We're on trail by 3. So by the time we were halfway up, we got to watch the sunrise, and it was a beautiful, clear day. And I think we even planned to go on this day because we knew it was going to be beautiful. And one of the girls we were hiking with, Pinky Toe, it was her birthday. So we thought that was awesome. And then Pinky Toe and Bowler, they were from Switzerland. He proposed to her on top of Katahdin. And I mean, that happens a lot. That's actually kind of a common thing, but still, it's pretty cool, I have to say, man. She'll definitely always remember that birthday, for sure. But I can only talk to myself about what it was like. So we got up to the, the Table Rocks, right? The level area. And everyone went ahead, and I kind of just waited back, and I kind of just slowed way down and just took it in from then to the sign. And when I got to the sign, I touched it, and I don't know, I didn't feel what I thought I would feel, and that's why you shouldn't have expectations. But I felt, I don't know, I didn't feel a lot, to be honest. But it took a while. It was maybe a day or two after that, and then I felt that exhilaration and that that pride and that confidence, that renewed confidence I have from finishing that through hike. That is one thing. When you finish an AT through hike, probably any through hike, you just get this confidence about you. I mean, you feel like you can do anything after that. So yeah, it wasn't like super dramatic for me when I got to the sign. I remember we sat up there for maybe 20 minutes, and I remember just looking at everyone, watching them, and the truth is, everyone looked a little melancholy, and I think it had set in that it was over. And I remember just looking out and thinking, man, what now? And I remember just looking back and the trail's gone. There's no more trail to hike. And that is the weirdest feeling in the world. And man, I don't know. But I think I was just stunned when I got up there. But it did finally kick in, that exhilaration and that excitement and that boost of confidence and that pride and all that, man. And it was definitely one, if not my most greatest accomplishments ever, man. And of course, I'm talking about 2016. My last hike, 2020, it was just something else, man. I can't even really explain that hike. It's not what the typical person would go through for sure. But my 2016 hike definitely was. So there you have it. That, to me, are the different phases you go through during an Appalachian Trail through hike. Now, some people, like I said, are going to experience these more with more emotion. Some people, it's going to be more muted out. Some people may not have not go through all the phases, but definitely some of them. And I think almost everyone would agree that they had those kind of stages during their through hike. Just the difference is the degrees of emotion that each individual felt during those cycles. And like I said, the end is so unique. It's so different for everyone. And it's just, all I can say is give you my experience. And it was amazing. It was amazing for sure. All right. So I'm just going to leave y'all with a few words of wisdom to get you through the day. Never forget that we outnumber they 500,000 to 1. I'll talk to y'all next time. All right.